Good day, my name is Mansha Singh.
And my name is Solang Chen.
Today we will be talking about latency and bandwidth. Latency and bandwidth can be used to describe the capacity and the speed of a network.
Latency and bandwidth both play a very important role in the overall internet performance. And I hope that at the end of this presentation you'll have a more clear understanding of just what latency and bandwidth are and how they affect your internet performance.
Alright, let us start with latency. Latency can be described as a delay. It is the amount of time it takes one packet to travel from one endpoint to another, or from a source to a destination. Latency is normally expressed in milliseconds due to the relatively fast processing powers of our modern computers. One way to measure latency is to utilize ping, where one ping is equal to 1 millisecond. In this example, this red coloring represents congestions in the connection between a server and a client. These congestions lead to a slowdown of packet delivery, which causes lag in general. Bandwidth, on the other hand, can be described as a number of individual connections between two machines, allowing multiple paths of travel for packets. It is normally expressed in bits per second. It is the amount of data that can be transferred within a second. On a shared network such as this, bandwidth for individual clients will be inversely proportional to the number of clients connected to the same server. In this example, two clients here are shown connected to this same server. This server has 8 individual connections to distribute across its clients. These 8 connections are distributed equally to these two clients. Each client receives 4 connections to the server. This distribution means that each client will have a slower connection than if there was only one client connected to the same server. Under this same principle, if 4 clients were connected to the server, each client would receive only 2 connections.
Before we go into a real-world example, it is important to go over the last mile problem. The last mile problem can be described as the weakest link in the chain issue. Your internet connection will only be as strong as the weakest link between your source and your destination. Most of the time, the weakest link between your source and destination will be between your router and your personal device. Thus, it's called the last mile problem. The real-world example we will be discussing today will be the PC game RuneScape by Jagex. Specifically, we want to look into one of these servers due to the high traffic which that server receives. The server in question is known to players as World 2. And what's special about this server is that this server has the highest amount of traffic, the highest number of players inside this one server at any given point in time. And this is because this server is the designated server for trade, and it's also the server which a lot of players come together and pull in their training resources to grind levels. Anyway, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move to a different part of the RuneScape map, and we're gonna move to a different server, and we're gonna just compare and contrast this server with the World 2 server. And once we get in there, you can probably see a sharp contrast between the two. And while I'm doing that, I should also mention that a game server is very different from a web page server, because while a web page server only has to load the data for one web page, a game server has to constantly deliver information to and from the server for every move that you take, for every attack you take, for every damage point you take, every experience point gain, any information from players as well, player sprites and all that. And as you can see, it's already taken a very long time for us to load just trying to get into World 2. And well, yeah, it takes a while. And now that we're in World 2, you can see that there's a huge lag in frames per second. The frames per second is slowed down to a crawl. And by the way, this footage was not taken during the WXP weekend, so this is not even 1,600 people in the one server that we were talking about earlier. This is maybe 1,000 people. And what I suspect is that some of the packets that should be arriving in between, the information in between the frames that we do see, are being dropped. The reason for this is simply that the servers leading to, the routers leading to the Jagex servers are under so much pressure that it's forced to drop some of the packets in the connection. In a way, depending on how close to the core of the internet your personal client is, the last mile problem might not be so much be between your router and your personal device, but rather between the Skagix's servers and their closest routers, because it's the weakest link in the chain, but because that link in the chain is under the most stress of all. The bandwidth of this server is also stretched far between more than 1,000 players. As we mentioned before, that also further deteriorates the internet performance of this server. Anyway, we hope that you enjoyed our presentation on bandwidth and latency, and we hope that you come out just a little less like this guy right here.